Okay, welcome back to the recycled cottage and garden in my little apartment. And I'm going to do a little bit of a teaching moment today. Let me put this down further. There we go. I canned up some um, bell peppers and onions yesterday to use in casseroles, soups, whatever. Because I had a plethora of them and they needed to come out of the refrigerator before they went bad. Occasionally, I will get a jar where I can't take the ring off. I've tightened it down too tight or something sticky is in there, whatever. With bell peppers, they're a little bit sweet, so sometimes that happens when you get the fluctuations during the canning process. They're all sealed, no problem there. The other 7 jars, the rings came off. A couple of them I had to use this ring remover tool from Ball, which works very, very well. Unfortunately, this one didn't want to. And you push this thing down over top, and it'll take both the narrow mouth and the wide mouth. You can do it with either because there's 2 settings on it, and it's like silicone, so it grabs hold. Normally, I should be able to twist this and it open, but it's not. So let me show you the inside. So there's 2 sizes of openings there, and then a gap here so that you can pull the rings back out when you're done. Occasionally I get one that doesn't want to come off for whatever reason. Here's what I do. I have little wire cutters. Normally I use these for when I'm making jewelry and stuff. I have some other ones that are actually made more for jewelry. And I have needle nose pliers. So I have a plethora of rings. So what I do is I go through and I go up as high as I can get on it and cut that metal just every so often. I'd rather lose a ring than a jar and not know if it's sealed properly, because if you leave the rings on, you can sometimes get a false seal because it may, if something's not quite right, normally that lid would come loose, and that's your first clue that something's wrong. But what I've got to do is get up under there and loosen it up. So I start with just cutting through that bottom roll on this ring. And what I have done, because the first thing I try is just putting hot soapy water in the sink because I'm going to wash everything anyway. And then I will let the jar soak for a few minutes, rinse it off with clear hot water. Heat expands, so the metal should expand, but it's not on this one. 2 of them came off just fine that were stuck, and this one is wanting to be a booger bear. So, what I did after cutting the little thing, I just bent up those little edges. Okay? Now, what I'll continue to do is go up to the next section and bend that back. Be careful that you don't break the rings, the screw thingies. What are they called? I don't know. You know what's on a screw. The little ridges that go around that hold everything on it. Now you can, these are fairly thin metal, so you can pull them back a bit. And I just pull it back as much as I can and try and get up under there and cut as far as I can. Pull it back as far. Okay, this one's going to show you a whole lot. I could actually peel this one back almost to the top. That's what I'm looking for, is to be able to pull some of it back all the way up to the top. I'd rather lose a ring than a jar, and I'd rather lose a ring than lose the food in the jar. I had, oh good, this one's coming all the way too. Had a major score today. There was a lady on our local Facebook marketplace that's decided she doesn't have time to, oh, there we go. It all came off. Yay. Sometimes you have to go a little ways and then pry it off, but and sometimes I have to use needle nose. Normally, the wire cutters will work good enough. They're small enough that I can get up in there and cut that. Oops, there we go. You can see what I did. Some of them don't want to go very far because of the bands, the glass bands around there, the screw part. And then I'll just rewash this and throw that one away, and we're good to go. Okay, what was I saying? My major score today. There was a lady on Facebook Marketplace that's deciding she's doesn't have time to do any canning. So she's been selling off her jars. She had pints, quarts, and little jelly jars, real pretty ones. Obviously, were vintage. And I believe those would be the kind, from the looks of the picture, that you would have to put a little wax on the top of it, the old-fashioned way of doing jelly, and that's fine for jellies. Especially since we don't have real high temperatures here, and we are a very dry climate, so it's really, really good here. If you're not familiar, I am in Colorado, in a very small town at the foot of the mountains, where the Rocky Mountains begin, and we are at 7,700 feet here. Everywhere you look, there you are surrounded by mountains. We're in a valley. Anyway, it's beautiful here, but I'm real tired of winter, and today is a gorgeous spring day. I've been so thrilled. I wish I had a garden spot to go plant in. Anyway, she was getting rid of pint jars, quart jars, and jelly jars. Well, I don't do jellies, so I passed on that. I don't need any more quarts. There's only one of me. I generally just do stuff in pints because that's enough for 1 or 2 batches of something. Like this would go in a casserole. Actually, I'm thinking of making the stuffed bell pepper soup because that's really yummy. Because I don't really I like all the stuff inside the bell pepper. I don't like eating the bell pepper once it's been baked. But I can do it this way and make the soup, and I don't mind it. It's perfectly, I love it. So that's maybe pretty much what these are going to go for, but it could go in a casserole too, or if I'm going to do like a little pepper steak, something or other. Now, the peppers are going to be soft, and so will the onions. That's okay, because I'm planning to cook them anyway. If I put them into a soup or a stew, it's going to get cooked anyway, and they're all going to be soft. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm not trying to, if I wanted something crisp, I'd have to do like a pickle out of them, and I'm not a big pickle eater. Anyway, this lady was selling off her jars, $5 a dozen. I don't know how many of you have been to your local stores to buy canning jars, but at Walmart, my local Walmart, the Golden Harvest pints are going for $8.97 a dozen. The Ball and the Cur are up to $11.97 for a dozen. And I'd only foresee them getting higher. So I jumped on this, and she said, how many dozen do you want? And I said 4 to 8. Because I thought, I don't know how much she's got. She didn't say. She just said she had a lot. And she said, okay. She said, I think I can give you all of that if you want. I'm like, great. So I went this morning. That was last night on our conversation on Facebook Marketplace. And this morning I went to where she lives, which is about 3 minutes away, and picked them up. And she kept hauling out box after box after. I got the whole 8 dozen pints that I asked for. She probably had more. Honestly, I mean, this is like almost 100 jars. I don't know that I'm going to need more than that. But the $40 that I spent for all these jars, I can promise you I have spent probably close to $100 this year buying jars and lids. And the nice thing, all the jars that she gave me come with rings. I won't have to buy rings for years, if ever. Because I wash mine right away when I take them off, and they're dried real well before I put them away. And then I've been keeping them in like a plastic grocery sack, just both sizes together, the narrow mouth and wide mouth. But I'm planning, now that I have a wonderful sewing machine, thank you, Mom. Um, I'm planning to take some of the excess fabrics that I got from my neighbor down the hall, who has decided to quit sewing and quit doing quilting, and her daughter didn't want most of the fabrics. I got them. 4 tote plastic totes full. Plus another box with like fleecy stuff that you can use as batting for something small. Well, I'm thrilled because it's every color of the rainbow and every design you could think of. There was some other fabric that I went ahead and donated because it was polyester stuff for making clothing, and I don't do polyester clothing. It's too hot. Not like it gets really hot here, but I don't like the feel of it anymore. When I lived and worked in air conditioning all the time, that was one thing. We don't have air conditioning here. Normally you don't need it. The highest the heat goes here is maybe 85 in the height of the summer, and that's a day here or there. Most people are out there going, oh, it's so hot and humid today. I'm like, honey, you don't know hot and humid. Try Houston in August. I've lived through that, 20 years of it. So, yeah. Anyway, I've got almost 100 jars. I have 8 dozen pints. And they're all in beautiful condition in boxes. Some of them not, mason jar boxes, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take them out and hopefully fill a bunch of them up. Hopefully fill all of them up. And you're probably wondering, in a 1-bedroom apartment, where do I store things? Well, I'm getting creative. My bedroom is technically not a bedroom. It's my craft studio. I wanted one room that was dedicated for me being able to do the crafty things that I like to do, whether that's putting up the 6-foot folding table and laying out quilt pieces, or, spreading out and working on my genealogy, or making journals, whatever I feel like doing, the things that I enjoy doing. That's what that room is for. And because of my sciatica, which is now on both sides, going down my legs, I have slept for like 25 years or more in a recliner. And it's the right angles of things, that I can wake up in the morning and nothing hurts, and I can move and go on with my day. Trying to sleep flat out in a bed, I'm absolutely miserable, and I'm miserable for several days afterward of having to, even if I prop myself up in a bed, and I've had to do that in a hotel a couple of times, because it's the wrong angle. There's too much pressure put on different areas, and so I sleep in a recliner. So my recliner's in the living room because it just looks like a quilt-covered recliner. It's nothing fancy. It's an old one covered up with a quilt. It looks perfectly fine. Suits me, and it's a really nice. Of course, it's a lazy boy, but it's an older one. But I love it. It fits me. Somebody wanted to buy me a new one like they got, which was a big puffy marshmallowy looking thing, and it's fine to sit in for 5 minutes, and then it's like I get claustrophobic because that puffiness closes in on you. Plus it is a microfiber something that's nowhere near any kind of a real fabric. My chair is a real upholstery fabric. As I said, it's an older one before they started putting all the fake stuff on them and in them. So it breathes. So I don't have any problem with getting too hot. Okay, I'm going to have to shut this down because we're coming up on 16 minutes and this thing usually starts going berserk around 20 minutes. Anyway, I've been rambling today. Sorry about that. Hopefully I haven't bored you too long. Anyway, that's how to get the rings off if they're stuck and you can't get them off. Don't bang on them. Just try and peel them off if nothing else works. Usually the hot water will work. Just let them soak for a few minutes down in hot water. That will release whatever has had it stuck on there. I'm not feeling any residue on this, so I'm not sure. I probably just cranked the rings down too tight because I was doing it at night and I was already tired. Anyway, there's the jars. That's what your ring looks like when you're done, especially if you sit and fold it up so you don't cut yourself on it. And if you don't have one of these and you do canning, look for one. Probably, maybe eBay, probably Amazon for sure. I bought mine at Walmart, but I haven't seen one there in a while. But this thing, to me, is invaluable. It is much better than the 2 wire things that come around it and supposedly grab hold of it. This is silicone, and it's flexible, and it really grabs hold of that ring. And so, therefore, you can sit and hold it like this and crank it down to get it open. You can crank on it to get it open. And it works really, really well. I have never minded the amount of money I spent on it, which I think at the time was about maybe $12. Normally, I'd look twice at a tool. It's like, how often am I going to use it for that much money? I've used this a lot. And it can go, this way will open it because it stays, it doesn't bend. If you need it to put one on for some reason, this will bend. So you can do it this way. But, for whatever reason, this one didn't want to come off. This thing's invaluable. I had 3 of them that were stuck, but this took it off. Took the ring off. So there you are. Have a great day. And I highly encourage everyone who's the least bit interested to get into canning. I have one other channel that I have really been thrilled with. I've been watching a number of videos over the last week and a half, and that is Sutton's Days. SUTTONS space Days. DAZE. And that's on YouTube. This woman has canned for a number of years. She follows the recommended guidelines from the Canning Institute. I will try and put links for both of those in the box below. That's a really good site for those that don't have a ball canning book, can't afford one, or want the newest updated information. I have discovered, looking on their site, some of my information in my ball book is somewhat out of date, and it's no longer correct for some things. It's not like you're going to hurt anything if I follow it, but the difference between canning at sea level or close to it and canning at 7,700 feet it's different. So we'll talk about that another time. If anyone's interested, let me know. But I'm going to try and put those links down below so that you've got them. And really good information there. It tells you what's safe and what isn't. I was considering canning pecans and walnuts because I'd seen a couple of videos, different people that have done that. And I got to looking and I got to thinking about it because there's a lot of oil in nuts, and especially pecans, especially walnuts. Very oily nut. And I was like, wait a minute. If you're toasting them, that's not going to take all the oil out. It's not even going to take the majority of the oil out. So even though you're toasting them beforehand for 15 to 20 some minutes, so you don't burn them, and then try and dry can them, which means you put it in your jar with no liquids whatsoever, and then can it for 10 minutes just to seal the lid on the jar. That's still a lot of air in there. And one of the things that I've learned is that you can put nuts in a Mylar bag, but you cannot put an oxygen absorber in there because of the oil content. They'll go rancid very quickly. So part of what I'm doing is cleaning out my freezer to the point, which is only the one on the top of the refrigerator. You want to see how full it is? I'll show you. Since that camera is right there. It's stuffed. And the door is too. And a lot of this can be canned. So I've got nuts sitting here. Some of it cannot. If it's cured meat. Because I was asking this lady about summer sausage. And she said no, because it's a cured meat. They don't can well. You won't like what you get, and it's probably not safe. So, and if you see over there, those are garlic cloves. I stuck in water not even a week ago. So they're getting planted today, in between canning. I can't believe it. I mean, they literally are growing like 2 inches a day. So anyway, I'm trying to clear stuff out of my fridge that can be canned, so I can put things like my nuts in there. They cannot be canned. Very, very short-term items that I'll eat right away. So anything that can go in a jar is fixing to be going in a jar. My refrigerator's full between my Mountain Roots produce that they bring a grocery sack, the reusable ones, which are bigger than the little plastic ones that you get. It's usually about half full. This week it was almost full of fresh produce. And some of that was, and then there was, I was out of my SNAP card money, which for those of you who are unaware, that is food stamps. It's like a little debit card thing that you can only buy food with. And that's fine. And I'm very, very grateful for it. But I went over to the food pantry because my money has not come in on that yet. There's 2 different times of the month when they put money in there. The first part is the normal $40 a month, which of course isn't going to pay for all your food for the month. And then right now we have a bonus amount that they give us because of the C word. And I'm very grateful for it. I don't squander it. I put it to very good use. I only buy, and this is anybody, only buy foods you will eat. Don't waste them. If you're going to can foods you like. Buy what you like, can it, eat it. Don't get stuff you don't like or won't eat. That's no point in that. Anyway, what I can keep just on the shelf for a certain amount of time, fine. When I get close to that end date of whatever that is, if it's a can that expires in 2024, if I haven't eaten it by then, I'll can it. That extends its life a long time. These, well, I'll tell you this. I opened up a can of soup the other day. It was perfectly fine and very good. I had canned it in 2012. So, and we're in 2022. So, I don't have a problem with eating older food. If I'm the one that canned it, I know how it's been canned. I know it's been canned properly. And that food's gone through 2 moves. one across Texas, and the second one from Texas up to here in the mountains. So, changes in elevation don't bother canned food. It's perfectly fine. Even if this had been canned in Texas at pretty much sea level, bringing it up here doesn't matter because it's already sealed. Same difference if you're moving back to some place with a lower sea level. Doesn't matter. Once it's canned, it's canned. And unless you've done something or something happens to compromise the lid, you're good. Okay, we're at 25 minutes and something, and I'm going to go ahead and end this now. Hopefully it's not too glitchy. If it's glitchy, if the sound is off, I do apologize. Probably later this year going to have to buy a new Chromebook because they're going to quit updating this one. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully that'll be in my budget. We'll see. Thanks for stopping in. Hope this has been helpful. Just to show you how I do it. Other people may do it a different way. I've actually never seen a video on how to remove a ring that's stuck. This is just my trial and error, and it seems to be the simplest, easiest way since I have, well, let's see, I have almost 100 rings over there now. So I don't mind losing one every now and again. Anyway, y'all have a great day, and keep on stacking that food in your pantry. I have a feeling we're going to need it just because of the shortages. I'm not seeing food shortages here. What we are beginning to see is extremely high prices on the stuff that the farmers need, like the fertilizers and so forth. I am seeing food prices double. Some things are double. I went to Walmart one day and was going to buy a gallon of drinking water, which are usually $1. And I went back 3 days later for something else and thought, oh, I'll pick up another gallon of water. It was $1.18. So yes, even the price of water is going up. Our gas price went up to $3.99 from $3.54 up to $3.99 overnight. And it has stayed there. It hasn't gone up anymore, but it ain't going to come down, I don't believe. So, we'll see how all that plays out. I'm just kind of playing a waiting game here and seeing how it plays out and what happens. Because I'm already seeing from various people on YouTube that fertilizer prices, animal feed prices, everything's going up. Plus we have, if there are gas shortages, since we have gotten so much in the past from Russia, which we are not anymore, and that's fertilizer, that's some grains, and that great part of the country is considered to be in a drought condition, and those are the places where, like California, how much vegetable and fruit do you get from California? The mid-country states, Nebraska, Dakotas, so on and so forth, they're saying technically that they're in a drought, and that's going to cut down on how much production they get. And you throw into the mix of that, they can't get enough fertilizer. We have a problem, people. And it's not one I know how to solve. So pray for our country. Pray for the leaders of our country to make informed, sane decisions on things. Because the last thing we need on top of price inflation and shortages of foodstuffs and fuel is to be involved in a war. It's my opinion only. You're welcome to disagree, but be nice, be polite. And I'm not pointing fingers at any one person in particular, because there's a whole lot of people in Washington. So, my 2 cents worth for what it is. Agree with me or not, that's up to you. I don't. Doesn't bother me if you disagree. But like I said, be nice. If you're not nice, you will be deleted. The comment will be deleted and you will be blocked. You're still welcome to watch the videos if you're interested in any of them. But I'm not putting up with trolls, and I'm not putting up with mean people. There's no reason for it. That's what makes this country a good country, is that we're allowed to have our difference of opinions. Doesn't mean we need to be mean about it. So, have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you again. Hopefully I'll have something new to show you, within a week or so. I'm doing what I can. I've got a lot of stuff to take care of here. I've got flour sitting here that was given to me, and I'm waiting on some oxygen absorbers to come, because this is going to come out of the jars and go into mylar bags with an oxygen absorber. I'll just have to wait for more of those to come because I don't have any left. But I got a good price on them, so they're coming, and I'd rather put them in mylar bags and just stick them in a box in the closet, and they'll be fine because it'll be nice and dark in there. And it's always cool, and it's dark, and it's not much humidity, so I have almost the perfect closet for a pantry. Maybe not as cool as I'd like it to be, but I'd hazard to say it never gets above 75 in there. Even though I'm on the third floor, our hot days are few and far between. Most of the year, we're freezing cold. So, okay, this time I really mean it. I'm going. Everybody have a great day. Bye.